In the heart of the Pacific Ocean, where the endless blue of the waters merges with the horizon, lies the mysterious world of Australia and Oceania, a region whose secrets still whisper to us from the depths of the ages. Imagine this. While the modern cities of Sydney and Melbourne pulse with the life of the 21st century, just a few hundred kilometres away, ancient rock paintings hold messages that we can scarcely decipher. Who created these enigmatic images? What did our ancestors attempt to convey to us across millennia? In these lands, majestic stone monuments, like silent guardians of time, rise above the landscape, challenging our understanding of the engineering prowess of the ancients. How could people without modern technologies create such monuments? And for what purpose? The sacred sites of the Aboriginal peoples of Australia and the Indigenous nations of the Pacific Islands still radiate an inexplicable energy that even skeptics can feel. Locals speak of the spirits of ancestors inhabiting these places, of gods descending to people in sacred groves, and at mysterious bodies of water that change colour depending on the phases of the moon. What lies behind these legends? Simple superstitions or echoes of knowledge lost to modern civilization? I invite you on a journey through the most enigmatic and mystical places of the distant continent and the scattered islands, where reality is sometimes indistinguishable from myth, and the past continues to live in the present. And among all the mysteries of this enigmatic continent, perhaps none is more majestic and captivating than the enormous monolith rising in the midst of the endless desert of Central Australia, Uluru. This colossal sandstone, towering 348 metres high and stretching 9.5 kilometres in circumference, stands like a frozen wave of an ancient ocean, harbouring secrets rooted in the very origins of time. When the rays of the setting sun touch its surface, Uluru transforms, changing its colour from deep terracotta to blazing crimson, creating the illusion that the rock breathes, living a life of its own. But most astonishingly, the local Aboriginal people of the Anangu tribe assert that Uluru is indeed alive. For them, it is not merely a geological formation, but a sacred being born in the Dreamtime, a mystical period of creation. According to ancient legends, every crack, every curve on the surface of the rock tells a story about ancestral creators, about great battles between the serpents Kunyia and the lizard people Liru. Archaeologists have discovered that the rock paintings within the caves of Uluru date back over 10,000 years. But who knows how much older these images could truly be? Visitors to this site often report strange acoustic phenomena, whispers emanating from nowhere, echoes that resonate longer than physics would dictate. Some claim to have heard rhythmic sounds resembling the beating of a giant heart coming from the depths of the monolith. Is this simply a trick of the imagination, or is Uluru truly trying to communicate something to us? Geologists explain the unusual shape and colour of the rock through natural processes of erosion and high iron content. But can these rational explanations fully unravel the mystery of a place where, according to the Aboriginal people, the worlds of the living and the dead intersect? Particularly mysterious are the waterholes that appear at the base of Uluru after rare rains. The water in them takes on an unusual reddish hue, and the elders of the Anangu assert that bathing in these temporary lakes can either heal or bring a curse, depending on the thoughts one brings to the sacred water. Numerous expeditions of paranormal researchers have documented anomalous magnetic fields around Uluru, inexplicable light phenomena in the night sky above the monolith, and strange malfunctions in electronic equipment. Coincidence? Or does this ancient stone colossus truly possess energy properties beyond our understanding? Some theorists propose that Uluru may be part of a global network of energy points on Earth, connecting it with other megalithic structures around the world, from Stonehenge to the pyramids of Giza. Yet even if we set aside the boldest hypotheses, one undeniable fact remains. Everyone who has stood at the base of Uluru at dawn or dusk has felt an inexplicable sense of connection to something infinitely ancient and wise, as if the very land is trying to share its secrets. And as we continue to study this remarkable monolith with increasingly advanced scientific methods, its central mystery remains unsolved. How an ordinary rock became the epicenter of the spiritual universe for an entire culture, and why even in our technological age it continues to evoke awe and reverence in all who behold its majestic silhouette against the backdrop of the endless Australian sky. If Uluru is the stone heart of the Australian continent, then Kakadu National Park is its ancient memory, etched in thousands of rock art images that date back tens of thousands of years. This remarkable natural reserve, sprawling over nearly 20,000 square kilometres in Australia's Northern Territory, holds one of the world's largest and most mysterious collections of rock art. The rock galleries of Kakadu are a true book, written by the hands of long-gone generations, where each stroke, each symbol, pulsates with the energy of ancient knowledge and beliefs. Particularly striking are the images in the style of X-ray art, where artists with remarkable precision depicted not only the external appearance of animals, but also their internal organs. Where did people of the Stone Age acquire such deep anatomical knowledge? Some anthropologists suggest that these detailed images are connected to shamanic practices, where during trance, masters saw the essence of living beings beyond their physical shells. But perhaps this is just the tip of the iceberg of meanings hidden in these ancient images. Among the numerous petroglyphs of Kakadu, a special place is occupied by the enigmatic figures of Mimisthin, elongated beings that local Aborigines consider spirits that inhabited these lands before humans arrived. According to legends, Mimis were so fragile that they feared strong winds, which could break their thin limbs, and therefore lived in rock crevices. They taught the first people how to hunt, prepare food, and draw. Remarkably, similar figures are found in rock art around the world, from the Sahara to Siberia. Is this evidence of the universality of human imagination, or a shared experience of our ancestors at the dawn of civilization? No less intriguing are the rock art images of Wandjina mysterious white-faced figures with large eyes and no mouths, found in the Kimberley region in northwest Australia. According to Aboriginal beliefs, these beings are the creators of all life, who came from the stars during the time of dreams. They have no mouths because they are so powerful that they do not need words to create. They create reality with their thoughts. Archaeologists date some of these images to be 17,000 years old, making them some of the oldest religious symbols on the planet. What if these strange figures are not just a product of imagination, but a reflection of real contacts with something incomprehensible to the modern rational mind? In the remote corners of Kakadu, researchers continue to discover new galleries of rock art hidden in inaccessible rock overhangs and caves. Many of them are positioned so that sunlight falls on the drawings only on certain days of the year, usually related to solstices or equinoxes. This calendrical precision speaks of deep astronomical knowledge of the creators of these galleries. But how could a people without writing and complex tools track the movement of celestial bodies with such precision? And for what purpose did they need these knowledge? Particularly concerning for researchers are images that, according to some experts, document abrupt climate changes and catastrophic events of the past. Some petroglyphs depict scenes of flooding of vast territories that are now land. Do these images correspond to real geological events that occurred 10 to 12,000 years ago, at the end of the last ice age? If so, rock art in Australia may not just be a cultural phenomenon, but the oldest form of historical chronicle, recording events of which modern science has only a rough idea. The sacredness of these places for the Indigenous Australians is impossible to overestimate. For them, each drawing is not just an image, but a living portal through which one can communicate with ancestors and spirits. Many places with rock art galleries are still used for conducting secret rituals and ceremonies, access to which is strictly limited for the uninitiated. What happens during these ancient ceremonies? What knowledge is passed down from generation to generation in oral form, never recorded in written sources? This world remains closed to Western science, which can only make assumptions based on fragmentary evidence. And while scientists argue about the dating and interpretation of ancient images, the rock galleries continue to silently testify to a time when the boundaries between worlds were thinner, and humans felt their inseparable connection to the cosmos. Perhaps this is the main mystery of ancient Australian art. It reminds us of the unity that we have lost in our pursuit of technological progress and material comfort. But have we really lost it? Or is this connection merely slumbering in the depths of our collective unconscious, waiting for the moment when we are ready to hear the voices of our ancestors speaking to us through the millennia? Ancient art is just one facet of the mystical Australia, a continent seemingly created to challenge our rational worldview. A few hundred kilometres south of Kimberley, in a remarkable place known as the Carajong Rocks, nature has crafted a stone symphony that can leave even the most skeptical traveller awestruck. Imagine a vast plain where thousands of limestone pillars rise from the sandy soil, some reaching heights of 5 meters. These peculiar stone formations, shaped by wind and rain over hundreds of thousands of years, resemble a frozen army or a gathering of silent beings, frozen in anticipation of an unknown signal. As the sun sets, casting long shadows on the scorched earth, there is almost a tangible sensation that these stone figures are about to come to life and resume their interrupted movement. Geologists explain the origin of these unusual formations through processes of erosion and weathering. But for the indigenous people of the area, the Noongar, the Kurrajong rocks, hold a completely different significance. According to their ancient legends, these limestone pillars are nothing more than petrified warriors, frozen in the moment of a great battle from the Dreamtime. One legend tells of two tribes who clashed here in a deadly fight, and the enraged spirits turned all the combatants into stone to end the bloodshed and leave an eternal reminder of the futility of war. Another version of the myth speaks of guests at a grand ceremony who violated sacred laws and were turned into stone as punishment. Particularly striking are the pillars that resemble human figures, with protrusions resembling heads and natural depressions creating the illusion of eyes, watching anyone who dares to disturb the peace of this place. Some of them have such anthropomorphic forms that it is hard to believe they are natural formations. It is no surprise that many visitors to Kurrajong report a strange sensation of being watched by thousands of invisible eyes. And in the whisper of the wind between the stone pillars, they hear echoes of long-forgotten voices. Anthropologists who have studied the culture of the Noongar note that the Kurrajong rocks were not only a place of sacred ceremonies, but also a kind of repository of knowledge. Each stone pillar was associated with a specific story, myth, or lore, and their mutual arrangement served as a mnemonic system, helping the elders to remember and pass on complex knowledge to the next generations. But the most astonishing discovery was made by astronomers, who found that some groups of pillars were aligned in such a way as to mark the positions of key stars and constellations in certain seasons of the year. Like many other megalithic complexes around the world, the Kurrajong rocks may have served as an observatory, allowing the ancient Australians to track the movement of celestial bodies and predict seasonal changes. But if Stonehenge or the pyramids of Giza were consciously created by humans, who and how programmed these natural stone formations to match astronomical cycles with such precision? Is it a coincidence or the result of some unknown natural law connecting earthly forms with cosmic rhythms? Many researchers note the unusual energy properties of this place. Sensitive instruments record anomalies in the magnetic field here, and people who spend a long time among the stones report vivid dreams, sudden insights, and even visions. Shamans of the Noongar assert that the Kurrajong rocks are a place where the boundary between the material world and the world of spirits thins, a kind of portal through which one can gain access to ancient knowledge and wisdom. Modern science cannot yet confirm or refute these assertions, leaving us alone with the mystery that spans thousands of years. What, then, are these enigmatic stone sentinels of the Australian desert? Are they merely a whimsical play of natural forces, or do they hold some deeper meaning, the key to which we have not yet found? And why do such places, evoking awe and reverence, exist on all continents, as if following some universal plan unknown to modern humanity? Perhaps the answer lies not in the stones themselves, but in how they interact with our consciousness, awakening something deeply archetypal that connects us with distant ancestors for whom the boundary between the visible and invisible worlds was much more permeable. And as scientists continue their research, the Kurrajong rocks remain silent, one of the most eloquent mysteries of ancient Australia, a continent where time seems to flow according to its own laws, and the past never truly becomes past, continuing to live in stone, song, and myth. However, the rocks of Karahero are not the only secrets of ancient Australia. If we travel to the eastern coast of the continent, we will enter the realm of the majestic Blue Mountains, whose enigmatic rock formations and impassable gorges have long inspired legends and myths that even the bravest explorers find chilling. This mountain range, named for the blue haze that envelops its slopes, is a place where the boundary between reality and myth becomes as ephemeral as the morning mist that blankets the ancient valleys. The Burra Rainbow region is particularly mysterious, where colossal sandstone cliffs, eroded over millions of years, take on shapes that resemble the silhouettes of giant, frozen beings in eternal vigil. For European settlers, these mountains were long an insurmountable barrier. But for the indigenous people of the Daruk, they were sacred territory inhabited by ancient spirits and mystical creatures. The most chilling legends of these places are associated with beings known as Yowie Australia's version of the Yeti, tall, hairy humanoids dwelling in the most inaccessible corners of the Blue Mountains. According to Daruk elders, these beings existed long before humans and possess supernatural abilities. They can become invisible, control human thoughts, and predict the future. The Yowies are said to be guardians of ancient knowledge and protectors of sacred places, and encounters with them can bring either great wisdom or terrible misfortune, depending on the intentions of the intruder. Remarkably, reports of encounters with these mysterious creatures have not ceased with the advent of modern civilization. Each year, dozens of tourists, experienced travelers, and even scientists recount strange occurrences deep within the Blue Mountains. Unexplained sounds like inhuman screams, massive footprints on damp soil, a sense of an unseen presence, and observation. Many of these accounts come from people with impeccable reputations, not prone to fabrications or exaggerations. One of the most famous incidents occurred in 2008 when a group of geologists conducting research in a remote part of Burra Rainbow recorded a series of low-frequency sounds on an audio recording, which, according to bioacoustic specialists, could not belong to any known animal in the region. In the same area, strange structures made of intertwined branches were found at several meters above the ground, too complex to be the result of random entanglement, but not matching known human construction patterns. Even more intriguing are the petroglyphs discovered in the caves of Burra Rainbow, estimated by archaeologists to be at least 10,000 years old. Many of these depict tall, human-like figures with disproportionately long arms and legs, covered with fur, as indicated by characteristic strokes. Near these beings, people are often depicted in poses of veneration or fear. Some scenes can be interpreted as the transmission of knowledge from Yowies to humans. Figures of the beings point to stars, plants, or animals, while human figures are shown in poses of attentive listeners. Particularly enigmatic are the petroglyphs found in what is known as the Whispering Cave, a deep grotto where the unique acoustics cause even the softest sound to be multiplied by the walls, creating the effect of many speaking voices. Here, among the images of Yowies, strange symbols and signs reminiscent of primitive writing have been discovered, still uninterpreted by scientists. Anthropologists studying the culture of the indigenous people note that the legends of Yowies bear a striking resemblance to myths about wild men found in cultures around the world, from the Himalayan Yeti to the North American Sasquatch. Could this indicate that all these myths have a real basis? Or are we dealing with a universal archetype of collective unconsciousness manifesting in similar forms across different cultures? The geological history of the Blue Mountains only adds to the mystery of this place. Millions of years ago, this territory was part of a vast ocean floor, as evidenced by the numerous fossilized marine creatures found high in the mountains. Then, through tectonic processes, the floor rose, forming a plateau that was subsequently carved by deep canyons and valleys. This unique geological history created a labyrinth of caves, underground rivers, and inaccessible, gorgeous and ideal refuge for creatures wishing to avoid contact with humans. Could these isolated ecosystems have preserved relict hominids, unknown to modern science? Or are the Yowies something more than just an undiscovered biological species, beings existing on the border between the material and spiritual worlds, as claimed by the shamans of the indigenous people? In recent years, the Blue Mountains have attracted an increasing number of researchers into paranormal phenomena, cryptozoologists and anthropologists seeking to unravel the mystery of the Yowies. Scientific expeditions are organized, automatic cameras are set up, and DNA analysis of strange hairs and other biological samples found in this area is conducted. But despite all these efforts, the elusive inhabitants of Burra Rainbow remain ghosts, slipping away from scientific understanding, leaving us only fleeting traces of their presence and the eternal question: what lies hidden in the misty valleys of The blue mountains when night falls, and ancient stars light up over the silent cliffs, preserving the memory of times when humans were just one of many intelligent beings inhabiting this mysterious land. The Blue Mountains of Australia are just one link in an endless chain of mysteries encircling our planet. If we travel east across the vast expanses of the Pacific Ocean, we will reach one of the most isolated and mysterious places on Earth, Easter Island, also known as Rapa Nui. Lost in the oceanic waters, this tiny piece of land, measuring only 164 square kilometers, holds one of humanity's greatest enigmas, the monumental stone statues of the Moai, whose stern, impassive faces have gazed into the island for over 1,000 years, like silent sentinels of a long-lost civilization. 950 of these stone giants, standing up to 10 meters tall and weighing up to 80 tons, are scattered around the island, most of them standing on special stone platforms called ahu. Their deeply set eyes, thin lips, pressed in a mysterious half-smile, and elongated ears give the impression that these colossi possess their own consciousness and silently observe us through the layers of time. But who created these monuments? How could a primitive Polynesian culture, lacking metal tools, writing, and wheeled transportation, carve such perfect sculptures and, even more remarkably, transport them up to 20 kilometers from the stone quarries of Rano Raraku? This question has puzzled archaeologists and historians for decades, giving rise to theories ranging from the plausible to the outright fantastic. According to local legends recorded by the first European explorers, the Moai were not created by humans, but were moved by the power of mana, a supernatural energy possessed by ancient priests. They supposedly could make stone walk, using special rituals and incantations. The Moai walked by themselves, the ancient legends of the Rapa Nui people claim, passed down through generations. According to these tales, the statues represent the embodiment of Ariki's deified ancestors and chiefs whose mana continues to protect their descendants even after death. One intriguing aspect of the Moai cult is that, with rare exceptions, all the statues face inward, towards the island, with their backs to the ocean, as if they are not guarding the island from external threats, but are holding something back within. What could have frightened the ancient Rapa Nui people in the heart of their own island? Some researchers link this to the cult of the mysterious birdman, Tangata Manu, whose images are abundant in the petroglyphs of Orongo, a ceremonial settlement on the edge of the Rano Kau crater. According to anthropological reconstructions, in the late period of the island's history, when resources were depleted and the population was divided into warring clans, dangerous competitions were held annually. Representatives of the clans had to swim to the nearest Motu Nui Island, find the first egg of the seabird Manutara, and return unharmed with it to Rapa Nui. The winner received the title of Birdman and special privileges for their clan for a year. This transformation of religious beliefs from the cult of ancestor Moai to the cult of the Birdman remains one of the most mysterious pages in the island's history. No less enigmatic is the Rongo Rongo, the untranslated writing of Rapa Nui, consisting of a system of pictographic symbols carved on wooden tablets. Only about 25 such tablets have survived worldwide, and despite numerous attempts, no linguist has been able to fully decipher their content. According to local legends, the first king of the island, Hotu Matua, brought 64 tablets with writings when he arrived on the island around the year 1400 AD. Could these tablets contain the key to understanding the true purpose of the Moai and the causes of the catastrophic decline of the Easter Island civilization? Archaeological research shows that the island was once covered with lush forests, but by the time European explorers arrived in the 18th century, it had become a treeless wasteland. Analysis of pollen from lake sediments confirms that deforestation occurred gradually, reaching a critical point around the 16th century. Many scientists see the ecological catastrophe of Rapa Nui as a warning to all humanity, an example of how an isolated civilization, having exhausted its resources, comes to self-destruction. But could there be other, more mysterious causes of the collapse? Some researchers point to strange coincidences between the decline of the Moai culture and anomalous climatic phenomena recorded in other parts of the world during the same period. Could global climate change, caused by volcanic activity or other planetary factors, have played a role in the fate of this isolated civilization? Or, as some more daring theorists suggest, was Easter Island just a part of a much larger and more advanced culture that stretched across the entire Pacific Ocean and even beyond, whose remnants we find in the form of megalithic structures from Peru to Japan? The mystery of the Moai remains unsolved. Each new expedition, each archaeological discovery brings us closer to understanding this phenomenon, but simultaneously raises new questions. Why were some statues left unfinished in the quarries? What significance do the red puhau cylindrical caps of red stone crowning the heads of some Moai hold? How to explain the fact that many Moai have hidden petroglyphs and drawings on their backs? And most importantly, what did the creators of these stone giants want to tell us? What message did they encode in these silent sentinels, whose gazes, crossing centuries, meet with ours, leaving a sense of an unsaid mystery that may never be fully unraveled? If the mysterious presence of Easter Island's Moai captivates you with their enigmatic aura, then the quarry of Rano Raraku is something entirely unique. A place where time seems to have frozen in an instant, halted by an unknown force. Here, on the slopes of an extinct volcano, hundreds of unfinished statues lie scattered in frozen chaos, some barely sketched in stone, others nearly ready for transport, and others seemingly frozen midway through their mysterious journey to the Ahu platforms. This vast open-air workshop creates a chilling sensation of work suddenly interrupted, as if the craftsmen had abandoned their tools and never returned. Why? What could have caused an entire civilization to cease its most sacred endeavor? As you walk along the ancient paths between the unfinished stone giants, you feel an almost tangible tensions, as if the air still resonates with the sounds of stone hammers and ancient chants. Particularly striking are the partially buried statues, whose massive heads, protruding from the hillside, create a surreal impression of giants either sinking into the earth or struggling to emerge from it. Many of these statues have unusually elongated proportions and more detailed features than the already erected Moai. According to local legends recorded by missionaries in the 19th century, work at the quarry was halted due to a great conflict between the island's clans. The elders of the Rapa Nui people told of a terrifying civil war that broke out after one of the high priests received a sinister prophecy. When the last Moai stands in its place, great calamity will befall the people. Another version of the legend suggests that the work was stopped due to the god's wrath, displeased with the people's growing hubris in creating ever more colossal statues. In support of this theory, they point to the so-called giant, a colossal unfinished statue nearly 21 meters long, which, if completed and erected, would have dwarfed all other Moai by more than double. Was this unfinished colossus the final straw that broke the god's patience? Anthropologists and archaeologists offer a more mundane explanation: an ecological crisis caused by deforestation for transporting the statues, leading to soil erosion, famine, and social conflicts, which in turn undermined the complex religious political system that supported the cult of Moai. However, this theory does not explain the suddenness of the work's halt. Many statues appear as if the craftsmen simply put down their tools midday, intending to return the next morning. Some researchers point to the strange geological features of Rano Raraku anomalous magnetic fields and unusual mineral composition of the tuff from which the Moai were carved. Could these factors have influenced the consciousness of those working there, causing visions or strange mental states? An intriguing detail is that many of the unfinished statues bear hidden symbols and petroglyphs carved in places that would have been removed in further processing. Why create drawings that no one would ever see? Were they secret messages, magical formulas, or signatures of the craftsman? Particularly puzzling are the small indentations carved into the backs of some unfinished Moai, too small to be practical, yet too regular to be random. Do they form a pattern visible only from a bird's eye view, or under certain star alignments? Local guides whisper to tourists that on certain nights, when the full moon rises directly over the crater of Rano Raraku, strange sounds can be heard, like the scraping of stone on stone and soft, monotonous chants. They say that the spirits of the ancient craftsmen continue their work, invisible to the living. These tales may be merely romantic embellishments for impressionable travelers, but they reflect the inexplicable sense of incompleteness and expectation that every visitor feels. Rano Raraku is not just an archaeological site. It is a frozen moment in history, carved in stone, a question that we still cannot answer. What caused an entire civilization to abandon its greatest achievement? What catastrophe, external threat, or internal revelation changed the course of the island's history? And is there not a warning for our own civilization, so confident in its power and so vulnerable to the unknown forces of nature and our own unpredictable psychology? Perhaps the answer lies hidden among these unfinished stone faces, forever gazing at the sky above Easter Island, guarding a secret that will always beckon and elude us, like a mirage on the horizon of the vast Pacific Ocean. And as we ponder these ancient mysteries, we cannot help but wonder, how many more such secrets does our own planet hold? For if we were to travel from the lost island of Easter to the opposite end of the globe, we would find no less enigmatic monuments of the past, whose purposes and methods of creation continue to fuel heated debates among scientists and researchers. Orungo, situated on the edge of the volcano Rano Kau, is not only an archaeological discovery, but also a sanctuary imbued with the atmosphere of ancient rituals connected to cults and beliefs that encompassed Easter Island. Here, on this harsh and majestic plateau rising above the endless Pacific Ocean, mystical ceremonies dedicated to the cult of the Birdman once took place. The Birdman symbolized the connection between humans and the heavens and the earth. Entering Orungo, one feels transported to another era, where every crack in the rocks and every petroglyph on the stone held a history filled with drama and deep symbolism. The petroglyphs, carved by the skilled hands of ancient artisans, depict not only animals, but also people engaged in ritualistic dances, as well as mysterious beings said to transmit knowledge and power. These seemingly simple images may conceal complex mystical messages that remain incomprehensible to modern researchers. What was their significance for those who lived here centuries ago? Perhaps these images were part of rituals connected to competitions for the title of Birdman, the highest rank, that brought not only glory, but also the right to manage the island's resources. These competitions were held during periods when the sea churned and the wind blew with full force, and candidates had to navigate a complex sea journey following migrating birds to catch the rarest one, the manu. This was not just a test of physical strength and agility, but also a test of spirit and devotion. Legends tell of participants in these contests, armed only with their skills and instincts, battling against raging waves to bring hope and prosperity to their people. But what happened to this ancient tradition? Why did the rituals, once so vital to the islanders' lives, suddenly cease? Researchers suggest that changes in the island's ecosystem, leading to a decrease in bird populations and, consequently, fewer participants, may have been the cause. However, such explanations cannot fully capture the aura of mystery and grandeur that surrounds Orungo. How could these sacred rituals, which were the foundation of the Rapa Nui social structure, disappear so quickly? Could the local inhabitants have received some revelation that changed their perception of the world? Or perhaps the intervention of external forces, the European colonizers who disrupted the islanders' way of life, was the final blow that forever changed the fate of this sanctuary. Orungo is not just a place, it is a symbol of the lost connection with nature and the spiritual world. Every stone here, every crack, and every petroglyph seems to whisper its secrets, waiting for someone to finally understand them. In this sanctuary, time has stopped, waiting for answers to questions that remain unanswered. Why did a culture so full of life and rituals suddenly fade away? What were the true reasons that led people to abandon their ancient customs and traditions? And perhaps in these mysterious ruins and the images carved on the stones lies a warning for us, modern people, about how easily we can lose our connection to our roots if we forget those who came before us. Orungo is not just a historical monument, it is a mirror reflecting our own vulnerability in the face of time and change. How many more secrets does this world hold, waiting to be uncovered again? Each mystery we explore opens new horizons and reminds us that in this vast world filled with wonders and mysteries, we are still on the path to understanding ourselves and our place in this boundless cosmos. Nan Madol, sprawling across remote islands in Micronesia, is one of the most enigmatic and captivating places on Earth. This city of spirits, built on artificial islands, appears as a living embodiment of ancient legends and mysterious tales. Imagine a world where stone walls, as if from another dimension, echo with the voices of the forgotten, and the damp marine air fills the lungs with the scent of salt and mystery. Here, among massive basalt blocks, meticulously laid one on top of another, like a giant puzzle, one can sense the presence of something greater, the unknown forces that once breathed life into this abandoned city. Archaeologists and historians still cannot agree on how these magnificent structures were built, as the technologies used by the ancient builders remain a mystery. Some scientists suggest that special systems of ropes and rollers were used to move such heavy stone blocks. But how could people of that era accomplish such a grand construction without modern technology? Legends claim that spirits of ancestors once inhabited this place, aiding humans in their labors and guiding them in the creation of these magnificent structures. Local residents believed that every crack in the stone, every curve of the wall, was imbued with magical power that protected the city and its inhabitants. But what happened to this extraordinary civilization? How could such a developed and unique city vanish from history, leaving behind only ruins and mysteries? Researchers propose various theories from environmental catastrophes to internecine wars, but none can fully explain the disappearance of Nan Madol. How could the people who created such a magnificent complex suddenly abandon it? Perhaps they faced unpredictable natural disasters or internal conflicts that led to catastrophe. Legends also speak of a curse placed on Nan Madol, which could have been the cause of its decline. According to the tales, the spirits that once guarded these lands were offended and left, leaving people to their fate. But did this curse truly exist? Or was it merely a myth created to explain the inexplicable? With every step along the lost streets of this city, we ask questions that remain unanswered. What was it like to live here, among the magnificent structures and spirits that protected them? What would it have felt like for those who once walked these stone paths, feeling the coolness of ancient stone beneath their feet and hearing the whisper of the wind as if it carried the voices of the ancestors? Nan Madol remains a captivating reminder that even the most magnificent civilizations can be lost to the flow of time. This lost land, surrounded by the sea, holds many secrets, waiting to be revealed again. How many more mysteries lie hidden beneath the surface of our world, waiting to be uncovered? Each stone, each crack in these ruined walls whispers of its past, inviting us to ponder what we know about human history and what still awaits discovery. Basalt columns, towering on various islands of Oceania, are not only magnificent natural formations, but also powerful evidence of ancient mysteries that continue to puzzle scientists and tourists alike. These colossal columns, like sentinels of time, stand guard over secrets that they hold within. Their perfect forms and enigmatic structure inspire awe and raise numerous questions. How could nature create such harmonious elements that resemble works of art? Or perhaps these are the remnants of ancient giants, as told in local myths and legends? In every corner of Oceania, one can hear tales of powerful gods and colossi who, according to legends, used these stone blocks to build their magnificent structures. Imagine the majestic figures, draped in clouds, ascending these columns to gaze upon the world from above. Local residents believe that these columns were created with the help of magic, that their forms contain an unknown power capable of controlling the elements. Legends preserved among the people tell of how gods used these massive stone blocks as bridges between worlds, connecting people with the spirits of their ancestors. But how could such massive structures have emerged in the prehistoric era? Some researchers propose that ancient Oceania inhabitants possessed knowledge that now seems inaccessible to us. They might have used complex transportation and construction methods that were lost with the advent of modern technologies. Others believe that these columns are merely the result of natural geological processes, such as volcanic activity. However, if this is the case, how can one explain their constant symmetry and precise forms? How could natural factors create such monumental and perfectly balanced structures? Some also suggest that these columns served as a beacon for ancient navigators, guiding them through the vast expanses of the ocean. Each column, covered in moss and vegetation, holds traces of time, and its surface whispers of thousand-year-old stories that we may never fully comprehend. But this mystery is not limited to their forms and sizes. Some believe that among these columns lie secrets that could change our understanding of human history. Perhaps they preserve ancient prophecies or symbols that yearn to be deciphered. What were the true purposes of creating such gigantic structures? Were they built for worshipping gods, or were they monuments honoring great ancestors? Passing by these columns, one cannot help but wonder, what really happened in the distant past when these lands were inhabited by powerful beings capable of extraordinary feats? And the question remains open. How many more such mysteries lie hidden beneath the ocean's veil, waiting to be revealed? Each new discovery, each research brings us closer to unraveling these mysteries. But as always, the truth remains on the border between knowledge and myth. Cyclopean stone walls, standing on various islands of Oceania, are not just architectural structures, but true enigmas that continue to captivate the minds of researchers and history enthusiasts. These massive walls, constructed from giant stone blocks, are astonishingly perfectly fitted together, giving the impression that they were built not by humans, but by some supernatural beings. But who could have possessed such strength and skill to create such monumental structures amidst dense forests and mysterious landscapes? Legends of local peoples tell of ancient giant builders who, according to beliefs, were endowed with incredible strength and could move stones weighing several tons. It was believed that these giants not only possessed physical strength, but also had access to secrets of nature that were lost over time. Myths mention stories of how gods themselves descended from the heavens to guide the hands of these builders, helping them to construct walls that were meant to protect them from evil spirits and enemies. But how could these cyclopean constructions have been created using technologies that we believe did not exist at that time? Some researchers propose the hypothesis that ancient inhabitants of Oceania used methods that now seem inaccessible to us. Perhaps they possessed some secrets of construction about which we are not even aware. Their knowledge of mechanics and physics could have been so advanced that it allowed them to create such monumental structures that even modern engineers would find challenging. However, there are other theories suggesting that these walls could be the result of the work of groups of people who used simple but effective technologies such as block systems and levers, which allowed them to lift and move heavy stones. But if this is the case, why can no modern technology explain the precision and symmetry of these constructions? How could ancient builders achieve such harmony and strength in their works? Around the Cyclopean walls, there is an atmosphere of mystery. Each crack, each stone fracture can tell a story, but alas, they remain silent. Local residents still treat these structures with reverence, believing that they contain the spirits of ancestors and ancient knowledge. Some of them claim that the walls guard their secrets, waiting for humanity to be ready to unravel them. Where did these ancient builders come from? Were they ordinary people, or was their strength and knowledge given to them by higher powers? Delving into these thoughts, we cannot help but ask, how many more secrets does the ocean hide? How many legends await their time to be told? Each new discovery in archaeology can bring us closer to understanding these enigmas. But as before, the truth remains in the shadows, on the border between reality and myth. And so, the question remains open. Could such walls exist in other corners of the world, waiting for those who can unravel their secrets? Sunken cities and ruins, submerged in the depths of the ocean, become true echoes of lost worlds, where each stone, left from once majestic structures, whispers of ancient civilizations that have vanished without a trace. In these waters, filled with misty legends and myths, lie evidence of cities that once thrived under the sun and were swallowed by the dark abyss. Local residents tell tales of submerged lands shrouded in magic and mystery. They speak of ancient islands that, according to legends, were carried away by the sea in a catastrophe, and of peoples who may have possessed knowledge and technologies beyond our reach. Archaeologists, diving into these waters with the help of underwater robots and cutting-edge technologies, find remnants of buildings that remind us of the grandeur and complexity of long-gone eras. For instance, in some places, they discover stone blocks that, like their terrestrial counterparts, are perfectly fitted together, puzzling researchers. How could these structures have been built in an underwater environment? Some of these findings are not just ruins, but entire structures that could have served as centers of cultural and economic life. But how did they end up at the bottom of the ocean? One of the most intriguing hypotheses is that these cities were part of great civilizations that, due to natural disasters such as earthquakes or tsunamis, were swallowed by the sea. But what if these disasters were not random? Perhaps the local inhabitants knew about the impending threat and left us signs warning us to be cautious with the power of nature? Some researchers even suggest that these submerged cities were not just victims of catastrophe, but the result of a conscious choice, as if their inhabitants decided to leave their lands, leaving only memories of themselves in myths and legends. But these legends are not the only thing that connects us to the lost worlds. Research shows that underwater finds may contain traces of ancient technologies that may have been forgotten or inaccessible to modern humans. Remarkably, some of these artifacts found at the bottom of the ocean share similarities with those discovered on land, raising the question of how extensive these ancient civilizations were. How could they have built such complex structures using technologies that, according to modern scientists, were beyond their reach? The ancient legends of Oceania are filled with images of great journeys and submerged cities, full of treasures and secrets. Some researchers claim that these myths may indicate the existence of forgotten knowledge about navigation and construction that was lost with the disappearance of civilizations. But how can we solve these mysteries when the stories themselves may be distorted by time? Diving into this mysterious atmosphere, we cannot help but ask, how many more submerged cities are waiting to be discovered, hidden in the depths of the ocean, and what secrets they may reveal about our past? In this vast ocean, full of mysteries, we are only scratching the surface. Perhaps it is the underwater depths that hold the keys to unraveling the greatest mysteries of human history, and each new step in the study of these mysterious places brings us closer to the truth, which still remains in the shadows. Sacred groves with unusual trees, located in Australia and Oceania, are not merely natural formations, but sacred spaces where nature and ancestral spirits intertwine in a single dance of life. These places, filled with deep meaning and mystery, become the abodes of spirits, where every leaf, every branch, and every sound remind us that we are not alone in this world. Legends of Indigenous peoples tell of how these groves were created to serve as places for communicating with spirits that guard the land and its inhabitants. The trees here are extraordinary. Their majestic trunks are entwined with vines, and their canopies form dense canopies that protect from the sun, creating a quiet, almost mystical atmosphere. Some trees have properties that cause wonder and awe. For example, giant eucalyptus trees, which, according to legends, have witnessed many generations, can live to be 1,000 years old, and their bark has healing properties known only to the chosen few. These trees do not just grow. They live, breathe, and, as the elders say, communicate with those who know how to listen. Some of them, as locals claim, possess the ability to predict changes in nature, changing their color or scent in anticipation of major events. But how are these trees connected to the spiritual world? Research shows that in these sacred groves, one can find numerous artifacts testifying to rituals performed here over centuries. Stone altars, surrounded by sacred trees, served as places for sacrifices and prayers, where people hoped to receive their ancestors' blessings. Each tree, each branch here, has its own history, and local residents tell stories of how ancestral spirits can manifest in the form of animals, or even natural elements, guiding people on the right path in life. But this is not the only mystery hidden in these groves. There are also legends that in these sacred places, one can find gates to other worlds where spirits await to be heard. Some researchers, delving into these myths, suggest that such places could not just serve for rituals, but be actual portals connecting our world with the world of spirits. But how can we know what truly lies behind this veil? Is a meeting with ancestral spirits just a product of imagination, or can they really influence our lives? Immersing oneself in the atmosphere of these sacred groves, one cannot help but ask, how many more such places exist where nature hides ancient secrets waiting to be revealed? Perhaps it is in these living sanctuaries that the keys to understanding not only the past, but also our own place in this world lie. In every wind, in every rustle of leaves, one feels the magic that permeates these sacred groves, and we are just beginning to understand that our existence is connected to ancient history that needs to be deciphered. How many more secrets are hidden in these green sanctuaries, waiting for someone to once again turn their attention to them? Fossils from sandstone, these strange and mysterious formations, are scattered across the expanses of Australia, as if petrified creatures, preserving in their peculiar shapes the ancient myths and legends of the Aborigines. They tower over the earth, reminding us of the mythical events that once took place here, as recounted in old tales. These natural wonders, seemingly carved by a master from stone, take the most unexpected forms, from mushrooms to human faces, and each one seems to hold a story that needs to be deciphered. According to local legends, these sandstone formations were created as a result of great battles between spirits and mythical creatures that once inhabited this land. In one such story, it is told of a powerful spirit capable of changing its form, who fought against a dark creature threatening the world of humans. During this battle, the spirit, with its incredible power, turned its enemies into stone, and since then they have stood here, observing the changes in the world around them. How were these sandstone mushrooms imbued with magic? Their form and texture create an amazing sensation that they were once living beings, frozen in the moment of transformation. Legends say that if one listens to the whisper of the wind passing through these formations, one can hear the whispers of those who were turned into stone, their stories and warnings. But this is not the only mystery hidden in these peculiar rocks. Some researchers believe that these formations could have served as sacred places for rituals, where Aborigines performed ceremonies in honor of their ancestors and spirits. These mythical creatures, according to local residents, could not only protect the land, but also serve as messengers from the other world. How can these stone mushrooms influence our perception of reality? There are suggestions that they may be connected to the understanding of time and space, as if they indicate that the past and present intertwine in a single flow. Or perhaps this is simply the result of human imagination, striving to explain the inexplicable. Research shows that these formations could be ancient ritual sites where people gathered to communicate with spirits. Furthermore, some scientists point to the similarity of these forms with images found in cave paintings, adding even more mystery to this place. But how can we know what secrets these petrified creations hold? Why is it that we find such unusual forms here, among the sandstone? Each time we look at them, we ask ourselves, how many more such myths await discovery? These mushroom-like rocks, like keepers of ancient secrets, continue to attract attention, leaving us in awe and wonder. Perhaps it is in these stone formations that the keys to understanding not only the myths of the Aborigines, but also our own place in this world, are hidden. How many more riddles are hidden in these stone wonders, waiting for someone to turn their attention to them again? Each of these petrified beings, seemingly imbued with life, points to the fact that the world around us is full of wonders, waiting for their moment to reveal their secrets. Resonating stones, these enigmatic formations located in the heart of Australia, seem like musical instruments created by nature itself, producing melodious sounds upon impact. They emerge from the earth, as if listening to the ancient rhythm of the planet, and each note they emit fills the space with a mysterious harmony. Local residents, the Indigenous people, have long believed that spirits of their ancestors dwell within these stones, communicating with us through sounds, as if whispering their stories. How could ordinary stones become bearers of such melodies? Legends say that in ancient times, when the world was young, spirits of nature united their power with the earth, creating these resonating stones to share their knowledge and wisdom with humanity. Each stone here possesses a unique vibration that not only pleases the ear, but can also evoke deep feelings and memories of bygone eras. As wind passes through these stones, its sound recalls the whispers of ancient legends that have been forgotten but still await their time to be retold. Research shows that sound waves emitted by these stones may have healing properties, affecting both our bodies and souls. But how exactly do these stones produce such extraordinary sounds? Some scientists suggest that their unique geology and structure create resonating sounds, making us ponder how nature can be both visual and auditory. There are numerous theories about the origin of these resonating stones, each adding a layer to this mysterious tapestry. Some believe that the sounds they emit may be connected to extraterrestrial forces that penetrate our world, reminding us that we are not alone in this vast cosmos. Others claim that it is a musical message passed down through generations, linking us with our ancestors and their knowledge. But how can we decipher this musical riddle that spans centuries? Resonating stones raise many questions, each leaving us in a state of wonder. What role did they play in the lives of local tribes? Perhaps they served as places for rituals, where people gathered not only to hear their sounds, but also to communicate with spirits believed to reside within these stones. And how can these sounds change our perception of reality? Some believe they may point to hidden knowledge that has been lost, as if the stones themselves are trying to remind us of our place in the world. Standing before these resonating stones, we once again ask ourselves, how many more secrets lie beneath the surface of our reality, waiting for someone to uncover them? How many unusual sounds and stories are perhaps waiting to be heard? These stones, like the mushrooms, continue to amaze and inspire, leaving us with a sense that the world is full of wonders waiting to be discovered. How many more sounds are hidden in the depths of forests and on forgotten slopes, ready to share their stories with those who are willing to listen? Geoglyphs, these enigmatic symbols carved directly into the earth, like codes left by our ancestors, stretch across the endless expanses of Australia, preserving within them a multitude of mysteries and unspoken truths. These extraordinary earthen mounds and drawings, visible only from above, awe with their grandeur and precision. How could ancient civilizations create such massive and detailed works of art, remaining invisible to the eyes of those passing by? Local Aboriginals have passed down myths for generations, claiming that these geoglyphs were created as signs for communicating with ancestral spirits or as maps leading to sacred places filled with power and knowledge. There are numerous theories about their purpose. Some scientists suggest they were used for rituals and ceremonies, while others link them to astronomical observations, asserting that geoglyphs could have served as calendars marking significant events in the lives of ancient tribes. But how could such mastery and knowledge of astronomy exist among peoples who seemingly led simple lives? How could they create such complex symbols that still evoke admiration and bewilderment, even with the use of modern technologies like satellite imagery and aerial photography? Imagine ancient people standing at the edge of their lands, gazing at the stars, and perhaps drawing inspiration for their creations from the vast expanse of the night sky. Some researchers even propose that geoglyphs might not just be symbols, but part of a more complex system connected to spiritual practices and cosmic awareness. For instance, one legend tells of spirits descending from the heavens, leaving signs on the earth to guide people towards enlightenment and harmony with nature. These mystical stories underscore the significance of geoglyphs in the lives of local peoples. But how can we understand their true meaning in today's world? Some researchers claim that geoglyphs may contain encrypted messages still awaiting decipherment, hinting at a lost connection between humanity and the universe. Studies suggest that these signs might be connected to water sources or other natural resources, implying that they served both spiritual and practical purposes. Nevertheless, despite all efforts, many aspects of these mysterious symbols remain unsolved. How can we decipher these ancient signs when even modern technologies cannot provide a definitive answer? Moreover, each new discovery raises more questions. For example, how did local tribes pass down their knowledge of geoglyphs from generation to generation? Were they known to all, or were they secrets kept only for the chosen few? And most importantly, how could this knowledge be lost over time, leaving behind a trail of mysteries and legends? These enigmatic earthen signs, like the whispering stones, raise numerous questions, unveiling before us the veil of ancient knowledge and mysticism. They remind us that the world is full of wonders still waiting to be discovered. How many more geoglyphs lie hidden beneath the earth, awaiting their time to be unearthed and tell their stories? How many more secrets does this land hold? And how much more unknown awaits those who are willing to turn to its ancient symbols and legends? Thus, we have completed our fascinating journey through the mysterious ancient sites of Australia and Oceania, where each step on this land reveals not only the beauty of nature, but also hidden secrets waiting to be uncovered. These places, filled with the sounds of wind and the whispers of ancient trees, are not just cultural landmarks, but true keepers of history, reminding us of the diversity of human experience and beliefs. How remarkable that even in the most remote corners of the planet, where time seems to have stopped, questions arise that have captivated human minds for centuries. Why were these enigmatic geoglyphs created? What are the true meanings of ancient myths passed down through generations? And what if these questions are just the tip of the iceberg, hiding countless unexplored pages of history? Each new artifact and legend we explore opens not only the secrets of the past, but also the possibility of peering into the very essence of human nature, our desire to know, understand, and perhaps even find our place in this vast world. We invite you to ponder which other mysteries are hidden in the shadows of ancient trees and beneath the sand. Perhaps you have encountered such mysteries or heard stories that left an indelible impression. Share your thoughts in the comments which mysteries were most astonishing to you. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you want to continue exploring the incredible mysteries that await us at every step. For indeed, as we have seen, there are still so many unsolved mysteries on Earth that beckon us to new adventures. And who knows, perhaps in the next episode, we will open doors to a world of which we have not yet dreamed. Until we meet again, adventurers, and may your quest for discovery never fade.